The Dershow.
Let's now talk, I guess, about what I feel, because I grew up in New York City, in Brooklyn, New York, to a
Where?
Hasidic,
What
Crown
Brooklyn?
Heights, to a Lubavitch
Oh,
Hasidic family.
I went to high school in Crown Heights. I went to Brooklyn Musical Academy on President Street, Bedford Avenue.
So I grew up in Montgomery Street,
Yeah,
between Brooklyn and Kingston. It's now different than it was when you were, because now it's all Hasidic, Chabad. And when I grew up in America, um, I guess I can say I didn't think as a child, and I looked very Jewish, with the hat, the jacket. We all looked very Jewish, and yet we didn't feel, at least from my perspective, any fear of anti-Semitism. I mean,
no.
it was probably under the surface, was probably waiting for a moment to boil up above the surface. But as a child, as a young adult growing up, I never felt it. And then October 7th happens, and we see, and I spoke about this with you last time when we spoke right after October 7th, but we now have more time to, I guess, understand what we're going through. And have you ever seen, you're way older than I am, have you ever seen such a thing in America where it's so bad? People are scared to walk around with yarmulkes in certain areas. You have kosher delis being protested. You have this 770 where I grew up, next to where I grew up, was people protesting outside the synagogue and trying to hit Jewish people going in to pray. You have all these college campuses, Harvard, where you used to teach. How do you look at the entire situation for Jews in America?
Well, what I see is a return to the 1930s. All over the world, there was anti-Semitism in the 1930s. In America, members of Congress said we wouldn't allow any Jews to emigrate into the country. In Canada, the Minister of Justice said even one Jew was too many. Anti-Semitism was the norm in England, in France, and all over the world. Then came the Holocaust, and as the result of the Holocaust, there was a 50-year moratorium from 1945 to 1995. And those were primarily the years that I was at Harvard, and so I didn't see much. I mean, you couldn't be the president of Harvard if you were Jewish. You couldn't be the dean of the law school if you were Jewish. You couldn't get a job in Wall Street if you were Jewish. I'll tell you a story. 1961, I was first in my class at Yale Law School, editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal, about to be a Supreme Court law clerk, and I got turned down by 32 out of 32 Wall Street firms just because my name was Dershowitz. Within 7 or 8 years, that changed. When my son graduated Yale Law School 25 years later, he got offered jobs in every major law firm. So things did change very quickly, but now they're changing back. Now college students, applicants for college, don't list on their applications that they went to Israel or that they went to Jewish summer camp, or that they, if they can help it, that they went
Yes.
to Jewish elementary school. And kids are terrified about wearing a Magen David or a kippah. I
Yeah.
proudly, obviously, wear. You'll be interested in what this is. This is what was given out in 1917 at the first World Zionist Conference ever to be held in Russia. When the
Wow.
communists took over in Russia in 1917, they allowed Zionism, which the Tsar had prohibited. And this says Mishkachech Yerushalayim. And so I wear this very proudly wherever I go. And, I think of myself as a tough guy. I'm 87 years old. I'm not sure how well I would do if I bigot, but I'm certainly not going to be frightened. I'm going to stand my ground. If I were kippah, I'm not a kippah wearing Orthodox Jew, but I would be proud to wear my kippah, and I do wear it going to shul and coming from shul. But there's a lot of fear in America. Tonight I'm going to eat with my family at an Israeli restaurant, and I've had to warn them that be careful. You might see protests. There's a coffee shop, I remember, in New York, which had protests and signs being defaced. And one of the women who works for candidate Mamdani, who will
Yes.
probably be mayor of New York, was ripping down pictures of hostages. You can't even get anybody to seek the release of hostages. And when the UN, all these horrible countries, voted to give Palestinian statehood to a non-existent state, not a single one of them even demanded that they return the hostages, unconditional, or that they recognize Israel's right to exist as the nation state of the Jewish people. Hamas understood this better than the Prime Minister of England, the Prime Minister, the President of France. Hamas declared victory. It said, oh, thank you for recognizing a Palestinian state as a reward, essentially, for what we did on October 7th. We'll do it again and again and again. And not only will Hamas do it again and again and again, but other terrorist groups have gotten the message. You want to get yourself recognized? I would not be surprised if there are Kurdish radicals who start engaged in violence, because the Kurds haven't had a state recognized. Yes. The Kurds are far more deserving of statehood than the Palestinians. There are many more of them. They're a distinct country, distinct religion, distinct language. They were promised a state in the Treaty of Spheres. They have a much stronger case for statehood. The only thing they haven't done is they haven't engaged in violence. But after the recognition of Palestinian state as a reward for violence on October 7th, it would not surprise me. I hope it doesn't happen. But it would not surprise me if Kurdish radicals were to say, hey, let's learn a lesson from Hamas. We're getting nowhere by negotiations, by discussions, by legal cases. Let's just blow up a few schools. Let's kill a few people. Let's rape a few women. Let's behead a few babies. Maybe we'll get a state.
Yeah. And if they're Jewish, it's much better because then the whole world supports you pretty much at this point.
Nobody really gives a damn about the Palestinians. These people who are marching don't care about the Palestinians. If the Palestinians were being oppressed by Syria, as they were, if they're being oppressed by Jordan, as they were, nobody cared. It's only that they are allegedly oppressed by Jews that makes it. That's why the Kurds have no claim, because the Kurds are being oppressed by Turkey and by Syria and by Iraq and by Iran. Who cares? If you're not being oppressed by Jews, nobody cares.
Exactly.